everybody, welcome back to another edition of Lemon Branch DIY. Today we're working on my 2020 GMC Sierra Denali, and it's got a bad battery. They put a battery that didn't last very long, and I barely got 3 years out of it, so I'm going to replace it. This is where the battery compartment is, and there's some tricks to it, but I'm going to show you everything that I do to actually get it fixed in case you end up doing it yourself. Okay, so to locate the battery, obviously you pop the hood and it's pretty easy to find. You know, there it is right there. If you're not familiar with batteries, then maybe it's a good idea to have somebody else do this for you. But this is where the battery is located. It's on the passenger side of the vehicle in the back, and then it's got this little slide, so it exposes the positive terminal, and then you got a negative terminal. But this cap here is designed to cover up a whole bunch of different connections that go to the battery. So I'm gonna kind of show you a little bit about how to open it up. There's just on each side there's a little clip here, and we'll see if I can do it with one hand. You push those in, and then the whole cap comes off, and that exposes something that's a little bit different than a traditional car battery. So you have this whole control panel here, or electrical panel. There's a lot of different things that hook to these different terminals, and it goes into a plate, and all of that gets connected to the positive terminal. So what we have to do, we're going to have to remove a couple of these wires so we're able to get to the battery, because the battery is actually down underneath all this stuff. All this stuff has to be removed so that we can get the new one in. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to undo this guy, and that will allow us to disconnect the wiring on this side of the vehicle. Then we'll move to loosening that nut, which is a 10 millimeter, and that loosens the main terminal on the positive terminal. And then we're going to do the negative one, and that'll loosen that up. Then hopefully we'll figure out if this whole panel will be able to just kind of lift it up and move it to the back. And then the only other thing we're going to have to do is this bar here that's holding the battery in place. Those are I think that's a 13 millimeter is what I discovered, and there's one on each side, a bolt on each side that has to come off so that we can remove that. And then we'll expose the battery and see what we need to do at that point. So I'm going to start off with just using my socket set of a 10 millimeter, and we will loosen the bolt on the terminals. And once they get loose, there goes that. Pretty much loosen that guy up. We'll go back over on this side now, and we'll do the negative terminal. Get that loose. Now before we do too much, I'm going to remove this guy right here. And how we do that, so we take this red clip and we just slide it back. Now we're going to need a screwdriver, and there's a little clip just underneath here, and we're going to pop that up, and then this thing should slide right out. Okay, perfect. So now this wiring box should be easy to remove. Oh, I forgot, there's one other little clip here. So you take your screwdriver, and right down here you pull that clip out, and then the whole thing should lift up. There we go. So now that we've got that up, we just can lift that up, and that will expose the battery. So now that the battery is exposed, we can just double check the sizing on it. So this one right here is a 94R AGM. So this is a pretty good sized battery. This battery is built to not only start the big engine that it's got, but it also is for the auto start. or the auto stop. So when you come to a stop sign or a stoplight, a lot of times the engine will stop and it won't keep running until you put your foot back on the gas and it'll auto start. So it requires the 94RA, and this is of course a GM battery. I think this is more of an economy battery because I literally truly got 3 years to almost the day of when I bought the vehicle. So I'm just barely outside of warranty, so that's why I'm redoing it myself. So what I did is I went to Costco and bought a replacement one. So at Costco they sell these, they're $169, and you'll notice that it's the 94R. They also have the H7, that's also the same size battery, but the 94R AGM is the same size battery. So that's the battery we're going to be replacing the other one with. Okay, back over here in the truck, we're going to use our, I believe this is a 13, yeah, it's a 13 millimeter, and we're going to loosen up this bracket that holds the battery in place. So there's one on each side. We'll go ahead and loosen both of those up, and then hopefully we'll be able to take the terminal off the negative part of the battery. Probably should have done that already, but okay, we're just gonna loosen these guys up. And get this one loosened as well. There we go. Alright, so once we get them loosened up enough, there we go, I can do this one by hand. I wonder if I can just move this bar up and out of the way like that, and that'll actually hold that guy up and out of the way. Okay, so now let's just take the terminal off of the negative side of the battery, if I can. Oh, maybe I didn't get it loosened enough. Okay, so now there's also another grounding wire that goes on this side and runs the other way. So I'm hoping I can just pop this off and move it to the side. It's pretty tight. Just gonna try wiggling it up a little bit and see if I can get it to pop off the terminal here. There we go. So I just wiggled it a little bit. Now it's off. I can just move it to the side. Okay, now that everything's exposed, what I'm going to do is I'm going to see, sometimes they put a little bracket underneath the bottom of the battery to hold it into place also. And I'm not seeing one on that side. Let's just see if we can, nope, it's definitely being held down somewhere. And I will look for that and see if it's those bolts there. It might be, but something is holding the battery in place. It's probably that guy right there. So I'll loosen up some of these bolts and see what it is that's holding the battery in place. It looks like there's a couple brackets down there, so we'll do some investigating and let you know. Okay, so what I have found is down there, so there was a bolt right on top of that, which was a nice big long bolt, and that came up out of that. That's a bracket that holds the battery in place. There's another one that was right back here that goes into that hole, and that is these guys. It's a bracket like this that goes and holds that side of the battery in, and then there's one more that's right there, and that's just a regular bolt also. Each of these were the same size, the 13 millimeter, so I just popped those all out, and now hopefully the battery is loose, and I'll pull that out and we'll put the new one in. Okay, so one other thing that I'm doing, I'm just gonna put a blanket on the side of the car. That way, because batteries are heavy, I do not want to scratch the truck. So I'm gonna just put the blanket there. This does have 2 handles on top. I'm gonna use my step ladder to get up in there and then just huff it out of there. All right, so I got it out. Really was not hard. Once those brackets are out, it lifts out really easy. You'll notice there's this little bracket still welded on. That holds the one side of the battery in as well. But now that I've got it off, you can see there's the 1 bolt, there's the 2nd bolt, and then a 3rd bolt back there. So now that everything's out, we're ready to put the new one in. I think I'm gonna hurry and vacuum just all of the leaves, garbage, whatever that is down underneath there. Get that out, and then we'll put the new one in and just reinstall it. All right, so I got all that stuff up and out of there, and then now I'm just gonna reverse the process and get the new battery put into place. I did put the battery up on the top stair so I don't have to lift it as high, and once again I have the blanket there to protect the truck, and I'll just kind of carefully walk it up and put it into place. Okay, getting it in was just a little bit tricky just because I'm doing it all by myself. If you did have some help, you'd have somebody kind of help you guide it in. This kind of got in the way a little bit, but now that it's in the tray. I don't know if you can see, let me move that out of the way. That little bracket is now on that side of the battery. So it will slide back and forth a little bit. You can adjust it according to these little brackets that have to go back in. Now I'll show you this bracket right here. Maybe I can just leave the camera like that. Sorry, it's out of focus. There we go. So that's gonna be this longer guy, and I'll get it down in there on the side of the battery. So it's kind of this long looking guy here. And so you'll notice that there is a fringe on the battery. Maybe I can show you. A little fringe right there. This little guy goes right over the top of that fringe, and then we'll line up the holes and secure that into place. That'll keep this side of the battery from moving. So we'll see if I can get the longer bolt down in there like that. And then I'm just gonna hand tighten that. So that one's in place. I'm gonna push the handles down, make everything nice and tight. I'm not gonna remove the terminal caps yet until I'm ready to actually connect everything, because I don't want to get shocked. So we've got that one started, and then we'll come back and put this next bracket. This guy is in the way again. So we'll move that up and out of the way, and then down in there we'll put the next bracket. Okay, so I just went ahead and just put that in by hand. You can see that bracket just kind of fits into place like that. So here's the funny thing, this one over here, just leave it alone. You don't even need to take it out. I did. You don't need to. I just saw a bolt and got excited. So you don't need to take that out. But these ones here, I just kind of went in, and at the moment I've just kind of hand tighten it. But you can see that this guy, there's a little fringe right here that goes down in that hole, and then this guy here butts up next tight to the battery here. And then there's another little fringe over on that side that goes right in. So anyway, hopefully that makes sense. But what I'm gonna do is, to get to this, I did put an extension arm on my socket set so I could reach down in there. Probably don't need to. Well, let's just see if I can do it without it. So I'll just kind of slide that on, and then on there. Good. Now I can start tightening it up. So yeah, I really didn't need the extension arm on it. So we'll get that one tightened, and we'll go to the other one. Okay, so that one's nice and tight now. Oh shoot, still can't see because this thing's kind of in the way. Let me get it out of the way. So I got that one nice and tight. I put that one back on, but like I said, you don't need to take that one off. And then to get to this other one that's over here on this other side, I put an extension arm on my socket so that I can reach down there and clear the battery when I'm going back and forth like that to tighten it up. So, alright, so we'll just go ahead and get this one tightened up as well. Alright, nice and tight like that. And then we're ready to start hooking everything up. All right, so now that we've got it all in place, give it a nice tug. Make sure the battery doesn't go anywhere, and it is in there nice and tight. So we're gonna now have to put this arm back on, which comes across over here. That's gonna also hold the battery in from jumping around and make sure that everything's clear from the electrical. And I'll just line that hole back up just like that. Put the next bolt in, get that secure, then we'll start hooking things up. Okay, feeling pretty good about things now. We're ready to start putting everything back together. So we're gonna start with the positive control panel here. So I'm just gonna get all my tools ready so we can zip them all in. Okay, so now this panel here, if you remember, we'll just lay back across here, and we will get that lined up and right down on top of the terminal. Being really careful just to make sure we line everything up and push it all down. Looks nice and tight. And then we'll tighten up the terminal. We'll do that with our number 10. So we'll just go ahead and put the socket set right on there. And I'm just going to tighten this guy up so it does not move. And I am going to do that as tight as I can so it will not move off that terminal. Okay, so that guy's done. And if you remember this little clip, this is easy to just put back on. You just slide that till you hear it click, then slide the red. The red little clip goes back in there. Now the last thing to do is hook up the negative terminal, but there is a cap on there because I don't want to get shocked. So what I'm going to do is lift it up, move that up out of the way. I'll remove the cap, and then I'm only going to be touching this part of the wire so that it does not shock me. Like that. So we'll go ahead and get that lined up. Get it pushed back down in there if I can. There we go. There it goes. Kind of had to use, I used the rubber side of the screwdriver so I could get it down in there. It's nice and tight. We'll go ahead and screw this tight on here again. Still a little loose. There we go. Get that nice and tight. Now we should have power back onto the truck. We'll check everything and make sure everything comes back to life as long as this battery was charged like it's supposed to be. Alright. Get that as tight as I can. Now the only thing left to do is just put this other cap back on, the cover I mean. Make sure everything is nice and tight and doesn't move. And we'll just go ahead and place this cover right back on over the top. Make sure I get it lined up like that. Snap it into place. And then we are good to go. So everything's back in, looks good, and then we'll test the truck and make sure everything starts. Okay, the only thing left to do is we're gonna just shut the hood, and then we'll use the key. All right, we got power. So that is how you do it. There's the remote start. I just wanted to make sure the remote start worked. So that is how you do that. All right, well, thank you. That was actually a little bit more challenging than even I thought it was gonna be. Some cars are not that difficult to change the battery, but this one had a couple extra things that you had to do. So hopefully that you found that helpful. If you did, make sure you hit that like button. That lets me know that at least I'm not wasting my time out here just making random videos. But if you don't mind leaving us a like and even subscribing, we would appreciate that so much. So hey, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.